Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Wednesday, March 31. Jamaica is to receive its third shipment of COVID-19 vaccines within the next 5 days. Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton says the shipment is to include 75,000 doses of AstraZeneca vaccines sourced through the African Medical Supply Platform.
These doses will aid significantly in the country's quest to vaccinate our elderly population, who are the ones that are most at risk.
The country previously received 64,400 doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine as a gift from the Republic of India. The second batch of 14,400 was received as part of Jamaica's involvement in the COVAX facility. Chairman of the National Health Fund, Howard Mitchell, says 20,000 doses of the Moderna vaccine from commercial sources are expected to arrive in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Another 26,000 doses of AstraZeneca is expected thereafter. In a statement this morning, Mr. Mitchell said these shipments, totaling 121,000 doses of COVID-19 vaccines, should ensure the NHF's ability to distribute vaccines through April into May 2021 until the supply chain stabilizes. Meanwhile, the health minister says government is pursuing other supply opportunities with the clear policy instruction that all vaccines supplied to the country must be approved by the relevant stringent approval authority. These are the World Health Organization, the European Authority, and the US FDA.
Madam Speaker, while we await approval of vaccines, the strategic posture of the government has been to make every effort to ensure that we engage with all manufacturers through bilateral or direct contact. This is to ensure that as soon as vaccines are approved, that shipments can be guaranteed.
In the meantime, the Ministry of Health and Wellness will be carrying out 25 vaccination blitz activities across the island over the next 3 months, starting April 9. This comes on the heels of the first staging on March 26 at the National Arena in Kingston, which will continue this Saturday, April 3. The announcement was made by Portfolio Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton in Parliament yesterday. The sites include the Montego Bay Convention Center, Denby Showground, Trelawney Multipurpose Center, the Celebration Church in Portmore, and the National Arena in Kingston. Other sites have been identified in St. Thomas, Hanover, St. Mary, Portland, St. Elizabeth, Manchester, and St. Anne. Dr. Tufton says the ministry will continue to review other locations to be used as vaccination blitz sites.
The special approach moving forward will include working with the Electoral Office of Jamaica, as I said, councillors and MPs to assist with the identification, registration, and logistics of the movement, moving the target groups to the relevant locations. And however, it's important to note that the option to call the 888 number or to register online will always be available.
In other news, Prime Minister Andrew Holness is calling for a further extension of the Debt Service Suspension Initiative, DSSI, by G20 countries to next year. The initial extension, which ends on June 2021, offers a moratorium on debt payment to developing countries as they grapple with the economic fallout of the COVID-19 pandemic. Mr. Holness made the appeal on Monday while addressing a virtual high-level meeting with heads of state and government on the international debt architecture and liquidity. The Prime Minister says he believes the extra time being proposed will aid in the economic recovery of developing countries. He's also recommending that consideration should be given to expand the beneficiaries to include highly indebted middle-income countries.
Debt servicing has come at tremendous socio-economic costs to our populations, which have borne the burden of steep cuts in public expenditures. Extreme fiscal contractions are having a dramatic impact on the ability of developing countries to meet their sustainable development and climate action commitments. For developing countries designated as middle income, and particularly for small island developing states, the pandemic has exposed developmental vulnerabilities which make the designation as middle income a largely arbitrary and unhelpful designation in crafting a fair global response.
According to Mr. Holness, some developing countries are fearful of applying for debt relief because of the threat of a downgrade in their credit rating. Because of this, he says private creditors and rating agencies should be actively pursued and engaged to participate in the DSSI on equal terms.
A special framework applicable only to this extraordinary period is more than worthy of their contemplation, given the larger medium-term cumulative benefit of more countries achieving earlier recovery with sustainable debt arrangements. the utilization of innovative financial instruments such as debt swaps, contingent debt instruments, and the creation of specialized liquidity funds can also play an important role in ameliorating the debt and liquidity challenges of developing countries.
Minister of Gender Olivia Grange has condemned the recent spate of violent attacks and deaths of women and girls. Speaking in Parliament on Tuesday, Minister Grange said, "We cannot as a society be unmoved by these horrible events."
This cannot be allowed to continue, and those who know must speak out before it is too late. Our women must no longer be told to suffer in violence, in silence, or to expect their reward will come after they die.
To this extent, Minister Grange says the Bureau of Gender Affairs will be undertaking 4 initiatives to tackle the issue. The programs will offer support in alternative conflict resolution for men and women involved in intimate partner violence, as well as sensitization on positive masculinity and child abuse.
Many persons still see the Bureau as the Bureau of Women's Affairs, and so many of our men are not aware of this helpline. The Bureau will be taking to the streets and communities and hope to get help from the SDC to put this information by way of flyers in barbershops, bars, churches, etc., where men usually converge.
The programs will also seek to increase knowledge and awareness at the community level on the Sexual Harassment Act. Additionally, Minister Grange says the staffing and provisions of the Bureau of Gender Affairs will be strengthened to enable a more readily available and successful intervention in the affairs between women and men before the situation reaches crisis proportions. And finally, the Justice Ministry's National Child Diversion Program is reporting a low non-compliance rate of less than 3% among participants. National Child Diversion Consultant Ruth Carey says this shows that children are consenting to and are engaging in the treatment program.
Non-compliance really is only as a result of challenges as it relates financial challenges or constraints, which the ministry now is reviewing to see how best we can support our parents and guardians and children in our program.
Ms. Carey was speaking at a recent JIS think tank. She says the low non-compliance rate is encouraging for the program, which is still in its infancy, as only 305 children have been referred to the program so far. The initiative is aimed at putting measures in place to divert children who come in conflict with the law away from the formal criminal justice system. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.